So in a previous video, I talked about vibrational vacillation being one of the most, probably the number one reason why we tend to stay in a unwanted financial circumstance or situation for a very long time. And what I want to do today is talk about how we can allow ourselves to, I don't want to use the word transcend, but naturally allow the vibrational vacillation to dissipate so we can allow more of the financial abundance that's already here and already done. What I have noticed is that, even in my own life, is that the vacillation happens in these micro moments and they go unnoticed because they're so small, but it's still giving that constant pulsing out to the universe, that vibration of lack, even though it may not be as evident to us that we're offering that vibration. So what we're going to do today, in terms of the journey we're going to take, one is why having a new story or being aware of the done state may not be enough depending on where you are vibrationally. So that's number one. Then I'm going to talk about situations where those micro vacillations happen so that we can become more aware of them because they often go unnoticed. And then I want to like stand right inside of that moment, right? We're going to do some examples so we can stand right inside of that moment and become those micro vacillation moments, because the more aware we become, the easier it is for us to move through and out of those experiences. So what I want to do today is stand right in that moment of vibrational vacillation, and become far more aware that it's happening, understand what is actually happening in that moment. And then we're going to talk about some general paths out of that while we're standing in that moment, and some more specific paths out of that moment while we're standing in it. And the more we apply the pathway out repeatedly, it becomes a reprogramming, which then becomes a new way of being when those thoughts come up, when that vibration is active. And then that allows us to be very different even when those thoughts of lack are coming up. And once we find the path to being in a very different way in those micro vacillation moments, we become that because we put it on repeat and it's now our new way of being. But it starts with a different way to respond in that moment. And it also starts with becoming far more aware that it's even happening. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And I think that's it for where we're headed today. First, I want to start out by talking about why this focus on your new story and the focus on the done state may not necessarily be enough depending on where you are vibrationally. So I know that there are certain experiences in my life where I can instantly focus on the done state and I am so there. I am so there. It's just, it takes me over. That energy of this being done and the new story that's really, really clear to me is so powerful, and so the energy of it is so strong that I can go right into it the minute I think about it. But there may be moments in time and experiences that I'm in that feel a little bit more, where I feel a little more resistance to fully embracing the done state. And it's not necessarily I don't want to embrace the done state, but the resistance is coming up in the form of doubt, or can this really happen? Or am I ready for this? Or, for some of you, it's I've been here for so long that the done state just doesn't feel real to me. Or the new story just doesn't feel strong, even though you feel like you've clarified the new story, it just doesn't feel as strong in your vibration. So if you're thinking about being financially abundant, it doesn't feel real, as real as the appearance, because it's not true, it's just an appearance, the appearance of financial lack in your experience. And that's a really great way to begin seeing your lives as well, because sometimes we can very quickly say, I don't have enough money. Well, that's a claim of lack. The fact is, you have access to limitless money. So begin seeing what's true rather than the appearance of what is not true. So what you may look at in your bank account may look like it's limited, but that's just an appearance. What's actually true is the life force that breathes your body has access to limitless money and anything else, abundance in every aspect and in every area of your life. So the more you begin to refer to the true you, I did a YouTube short on which ID are you using, right? And that's a good question to ask whenever you have a perspective on something. Like, which ID are you? Are you the body, limited by what you can or cannot do physically, what you cannot do with your mind? Or is your ID, your identification with that life force that's breathing your body? Because when you switch ID, you have access to more. I used to work in corporate America. I haven't gone to a job in over 20 years, well, close to 20 years now. But when I worked in corporate America, I ran 2 departments and they were in 2 different buildings, right? So in order to move from one building to another, I had a lanyard around my neck and a little key card, right? So when I swiped my key card, I can get into another building. And if I don't have my lanyard with my little key card on it, I can't get access to that building, right? So that little key card is my ID to move from building to building. And I kind of see life that way. Well, from what vantage point am I seeing it? Like, what's the key card I'm using? Am I using the key card that's just Allison in a physical body, limited by what the mind could do, limited by what the physical body can do? Or am I truly one with Source? Because if my identification is I am one with Source, then I see my life differently. I see what's possible differently. But you've got to switch IDs, right? You've got to wear a different set of lens in order to see what's actually possible. So some of you may have a really clear story, like a new story for something that you want to experience financially or physically, or what I'm sharing today actually can be applied to financial, it can be applied to your physical body, it can be applied to relationships, whatever. I'm just focusing on the financial because that comes up often in my conversations with some of you. So let's just say you have this, like, what the done state would be, right? You know what it would look and feel like when your financial situation is pure abundance. It's just limitless abundance. You have a story around that feels clear to you. Whether or not it's really strong, at least the story feels clear to you, right? So when you're sitting down, sort of marinating in that story, or you're thinking about that story in those quiet moments where you're, crafting the story, or you're just giving yourself the gift of feeling good by, choosing to focus on that new story. And or a visualization or a vision board, whatever bridge, whatever tool you use to move into that new story. It's a beautiful feeling when you're using the tool, right? The new story is a tool, a visualization is a tool, a vision board is a tool. Deeply contemplating the new story is a tool, right? So while you're there, it just feels so good. It feels so good. It feels so good. And then that moment that you've set aside to deeply focus on this in order to sort of shore up your ability to access that new story during the day, which I call sipping on the new story, right? So there are moments where you give it your focus, right? And then that moment where you're giving it your focus, where you're sitting in visualization or whatever, that moment is complete. And then real life kicks in. Like right after that moment, you go to your mailbox and there's a letter from the IRS. Just the initials IRS strikes fear in the hearts of people, right? It's like, oh, what could this be? Oh my God, I hope I don't know something, So it could be that beautiful moment of visualization is over and you go to your mailbox and you get an unexpected bill. Or maybe at some point during the day, your car breaks down and now you're thinking, oh shit, an unexpected bill that I didn't plan on, having to pay for. Or an unexpected bill shows up in the mail and it's bigger, like a tax bill, or something happened where that beautiful moment of bliss that you had when you were focusing on the real story, the new story, sort of whoosh, it disappears, and now you're doubting, where am I going to get the money, or how am I going to do this, or where am I going to do this, right? Or even in moments, and this is the moments where this vacillation, so the vacillation is, here I am in the new story. I'm feeling blissful. I'm visualizing. It feels great. I feel high. I feel really, like, yes, this is absolutely going to be how my life is going to move. And then you open your eyes and then life kicks in, right? The moments in which they get overlooked is that moment where, okay, I get a bill, right? I get an unexpected bill. It's bigger than I thought it would be, an electric bill or whatever bill. I mean, even the bill to fix your car, you thought it was a minor thing, and then the mechanic told you it's a $1,000 thing to fix, right? In those moments, there's the fear, there's the doubt, there's the, I don't have the money for this. But we very quickly move past it, right? We don't really give it much focus, which is good in a sense because you want to stay focused on the news story, but it's coming up so often that it's keeping us, I don't want to say the word stuck because we're never really stuck, but reliving the same experience of lack over and over. Because if you have this equal balance of news story and experiences where you feel fear and doubt around money, then it keeps everything the same. It's when the news story begins to outweigh those moments of vacillation and become stronger in your experience, that's when we really give the universe an opportunity to give ourselves the opportunity to allow the news story to materialize into our physical reality. So what we're doing today is, how can we become more aware of these micro vacillations so that we can sort of morph it into more of the new story and make that bigger in our experience. So we vacillate back into fear, we vacillate back into doubt in those moments when unexpected things happen, but we're so busy in life that we are like, well, I can't like sit here and cry over that. I'll just use my credit card and move on, or I'll just borrow the money and move on, right? So we had that fear and that doubt come up, and we never really processed it out of our experience. So if another bill comes, the same thing happens, right? If another unexpected bill comes, the same thing happens. Or, if the car breaks down, the same thing happens. Oh my God, I don't have the money to pay for this. It happens, but then we're so busy and we have to take care of it. So we just take care of it, and we don't really see that the micro vacillation, that fear that comes up within us, the doubt that comes up within us, even when we have to, let's say, go to the grocery store. Some of you may feel fear just with that, because you're like, I don't want to spend more than so and so because I only have so and so, right? That's coming up as you're driving to the grocery store, as you're standing in the checkout line or whatever. It's coming up, but you're not really giving it a whole lot of attention. You don't even notice that the vacillation is taking place because you're busily living life. It's like there's this fear that comes up. I can't spend more than so and so because I only have this left in my account. Or I hope this client comes through because I haven't had a client in 3 months, or whatever it is, right? It's coming up, but it's not really, we're not as aware and present with the occurrence of it. And so the vacillation happens without much awareness. And so we think, no, I'm really focused on my new story. I'm really focused on the done state. When these little shots of vibration are coming up, when the car breaks down, when the IRS letter arrives, when you're at the grocery store and you're thinking about what's left, when you got to pay for anything, that anything you think of, I have to pay for this. And there's a shot of, oh, do I have enough? Oh gosh, I probably shouldn't be spending this much. It like comes up. But then we move on with life because we have to move on with life. Life is busy. We have responsibilities. We got things to take out. We have kids. We have, a job to go to. And so the awareness in those moments are not very strong. So we don't even notice them. And then we say to ourselves, I've been doing this practice or this process for so long and nothing is changing. And we don't really give any credence, or any credence may not be the right word. We don't give any much awareness to the fact that these micro moments of vacillation are coming up, and the intensity of the fear is actually quite strong. But because we're so busy and I gotta pay for it anyway, so let me just go ahead and pay for it, right? Or okay, I'll just put half of these groceries back and just get this, and we kind of just move past it because we feel like we just need to move on with life, right? Not aware that in those moments, we're also offering a vibration that's countering that new story vibration, but we're not even noticing it, okay? What's happening is an internal reaction, right? Because you're not speaking out loud, oh my gosh, it's not coming out of your mouth, right? But there's an internal reaction to your financial state and the way you see yourself when you're about to pay for something, or when a bill is due, or when something unexpected comes up. There's an internal reaction that's happening inside of you that if you become more aware of it, you give yourself more of an opportunity to transcend it and to be a different way when it comes up, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So what the countering the new story with these micro moments of vacillation is what keeps us in the same place over and over and over. And if we ever say, I've done this practice, this process, I've been positive, I've been peaceful for X number of months and nothing's happened. I've been positive for X number of months and nothing's happened. I've been, doing this new story thing for a number of months and nothing ever happened. Whenever we go and nothing ever happened, like I've had people come into private sessions with me where that's their statement. Several of you have, where it's like, yeah, but I've done da 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 da, and I'm still in the same place financially as I was, for the last 2 years or the last year or whatever. But I know that if you're saying that to me, I'm not the first time that thought has occurred to you, right? It's when you're in a one-on-one session with me or in our small groups or whatever, when you say, I've done all this and nothing is changing, and you're saying that to me, that's not the first time that you've uttered that statement or have had that thought, right? But whenever we're counting time and saying, I've done this and nothing's changing, that's moving us right back into lack. And if you're saying that to me in a private session or a small group session, I know that you've said it to yourself prior to that session. That's not the first time you said it. So every time we say, I'm doing all of this and nothing is happening, we're essentially going right back into a perception of lack. I did all this, it's still not here. And if you're going to it's still not here, then life can only reflect back to you where you are, which is it's still not here. That's why I said take time off the table, which we'll talk about in a moment, because I have some caveats around that. But whenever we're ever saying it's not here yet, we're right back into, that's another form of vacillation. Is I'm noticing that I'm still lacking, which is what that statement actually means, right? Okay, let me just check to make sure I covered. Okay, so let's go into what's actually at play in those moments. So let's just step right into that moment where the bill arrived and it's bigger than you thought. The mechanic told you that the bill is $1,000. You thought it was going to be $200. You realize you're needing to go to the grocery store and you're looking at the balance in your bank account and you're like, I feel like I don't have it. So what happens in that, when you're inside of that moment, there are a few things that are at play, right? There is, and this is where I want for us to get far more aware of what's actually happening. Because in that moment, the quickness with which it happens doesn't allow us the space to see what's actually going on, right? And I want for us to see what's actually going on so we can make a different choice vibrationally. If it happens so quickly that we just move past it, we are not allowing ourselves to make a different choice vibrationally. So becoming aware of what's happening in that moment is key, because once we become aware, we can go, oh, I'm aware of what's happening inside of me right now, and I can make a different choice. So in those moments, what's happening is I'm afraid that I'm going to run out. That's one of the things that's happening in that moment. I have a fear coming up inside of me that I'm going to run out. There's also a fear that no more will come. Like when it runs out, how am I going to get more? So there's that fear playing out as well. Fear that you can't really trust that more will come. So that fear, especially for those of you who have been in the appearance of lack for many years, what's happening is, especially when it's been a very long time, we have a practiced vibration and a practiced way of seeing our financial situation because we've lived the lack for so long. We've run out so many times. We've quote unquote run out of money so many times that we have an assumption and an expectation that we're going to run out. And it's the assumption and the expectation that it's going to run out that creates the situation of it running out. But if we become more aware, wait, I am having an expectation and an assumption that it's going to run out. If that awareness is stronger, now you can go, wait a second, I am aware that when I think about this bill, I am having an assumption that I won't have the money. I'm having an expectation that I don't have the money, because awareness is where you begin. If you're not even aware of that and you're just, the minute you think about the bill, whoosh, straight into worry, you're not even aware that there's an expectation or assumption of lack at play. You're just so used to just going straight to worry that that awareness, your awareness is not playing out. You're sort of sleepwalking through the whole thing. The awareness is not kicking in at all because you've lived it so much that you go right into worry, you go right into fear, you go right into doubt, and there's no awareness of what's taking place. It's just happening, right? It's like, I'm so tired of running out of money. I'm so tired of being worried about the bills. I'm so tired of whatever financial thing is going on. It's on such repeat that awareness isn't, you're not as present in the moment. You're just allowing it to take place. So what I'm inviting you into here is become aware of what's taking place so that you can make a different choice vibrationally. And we'll talk about what those choices are. But awareness is the first step. If you're not aware, then you're not present enough to react or to respond in a different way, right? What's also coming up too is that assumption that when I spend money, I am creating less for myself, right? That's almost an automatic assumption that we're not aware of. When I spend money, I now have less. That's an assumption. It's not truth. It can appear true if you're staring at your bank account, but it's not actually true if you're coming from your identification as being one with source. How can source ever run out? Right? We'll talk a little bit more about that, and feel free to ask more questions about your own situation when we go into Q&A. But we feel like we're losing something when we're spending. The mere thought of spending is causing us to feel like we're losing something. We're minimizing something. We're having less of something because we're about to spend money. But we're not even aware that that's going on. So raising your awareness to that going on gives you more opportunity to respond in a different way. I'm going to talk about awareness, becoming more aware, and I have one more thing to say about that, but actually, let me just go into that. There's something that I want to share with you all that has really helped me in terms of being aware of when either vacillation is happening, doubt is present, fear is present, whatever, right? Typically, what happens when we become aware is we go straight into self-judgment. So let's just say you felt like you're about to spend money, right? And this thing is coming up inside of you, which is either in the form of fear or doubt or, oh gosh, now I'm going to have less, right? That's coming up within you. But you've moved from sleepwalking through it to, oh, I just noticed that it's coming up. Maybe as a result of this session, you're now noticing that it's coming up. The minute that we notice that it's coming up, we have two choices. Well, we probably have more than two, but there are two things we can do. In that moment, we can go, oh, there I am again, focusing on lack. That's what Allison talked about. You can go there, or you can go, oh, I'm aware now. And that becomes a moment of celebration. I have a funny way of doing that in my own life, is like my mind, because your mind is like, I often say your mind is like a bubble machine, right? You know, those bubble machines that kids have in the summer at their birthday parties or whatever, is just spewing out bubbles, endlessly spewing out bubbles. Well, the mind is just built to spew thoughts out, which is why it's good to know that you are not your mind, you are not your thoughts. The thoughts are just coming up like a bubble machine, right? And then suddenly you're aware that it happened, right? You're aware that you had that thought, you're aware that you had that doubt, you're aware that you had that feeling, that emotion, that reaction, right? That is more in alignment with lack than it is in abundance. And then you start beating yourself up instead of celebrating that moment. So now when I am moving through life and the bubble machine is doing its thing, the mind is doing what the mind does, and I'm aware that my mind went there, I go, ba-dum-bum, and she's back. That's what I say to myself. I literally say that out loud. The minute I become aware, I go, ba-dum-bum, and she's back. And the reason I say that out loud to myself is I am back to full awareness. I'm not sleepwalking through this thing. I'm back, right? And if you take your focus to celebrating the fact that you're back, you're aware, you're not sleepwalking through that moment, Now you can choose to do something different because you shifted from sleepwalking through the moment to I'm aware. And not only am I aware, I'm celebrating the fact that I'm aware. Boom, boom, I'm back, right? And the I'm back for me is I'm back to being closer to the source that I am, because the source that I am within me, all source is doing is watching the different events of my life. Source is not bothered by any of it. The source within me is simply aware of what is happening and just curiously looking at it, right? It doesn't have like the greater part of who we are isn't having like opinions and judgments about what just happened. It's just observing, this is interesting. And we can be more aligned with the source within us when that moment of awareness hits. We notice that we're aware and we celebrate the fact that we're aware. Rather than, I notice that I am having a thought of lack. Oh, that's the thing. That's the thought. Oh my gosh, why am I having this thought? Why are you going there? You just got aware. You're back. You're back in that moment. Just say to yourself, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back to being aware. And the minute you celebrate the fact that you're back, because you're now aware that that thought happened, you're aware that you felt like you were losing money when you're about to spend money, you're aware that these things are occurring, now you have the opportunity to apply more of your true state of being to the situation, rather than sleepwalking through it and you don't even know it happened. And so it keeps happening because you never really applied your awareness to it when it did, you know? So I wanted to give you that perspective of becoming more aware. As you begin to become more aware of these moments, you can celebrate the fact that you are aware rather than beating up on yourself for having the thought or for having the doubt or for having the fear. Celebrate that you're now aware. Oh, I just became aware that the fear was there. I just became aware that the doubt was there. I just became aware that I felt like I was diminishing my bank account. I just became aware of that. And that is worth celebrating. And as like I said, I always go, boom, boom, I'm back, right? I'm back to being the witness of the story rather than being all mired in the story. And I think that's worth celebrating. So I just wanted to share that as well. Okay, so so awareness is the first step. I'm aware that I'm having this vacillation, right? I'm feeling lack, I'm feeling doubt, I'm feeling whatever, right? It always feels, if you, and this is where awareness creates an opening for something different to happen. Once you become aware, you can look within your body for where you're feeling the tightness, and you may or may not, it may be in your temples, it may be in your throat. Usually maybe your heart raced a little bit, right? When you thought about spending the money. Or maybe there's tightness in your back, tightness in your stomach, tightness in your thighs. You know, there's usually some sort of physical reaction to what is actually the thought you just had or the feeling you just had. It usually feels like something in your body. It feels like tension. It feels like tightness. It feels like heaviness. It feels like denseness. Whatever that is, we feel it, right? And typically we quickly label it as well. So we can label it fear, we can label it doubt. Oh, I'm having doubt again. Okay, now I'm afraid to spend money again. I feel that. And we put some kind of label on it. And typically the minute we put a dense label on it, now we're scared that we're manifesting the opposite of what we want to manifest, right? It's the reason that I say it may be to our benefit to not use those labels, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. So step one is awareness. Step two is, where are you feeling it? Where are you sensing it in your body? and pinpointing that and becoming much more aware. It'll be easier to do if you're not right at the checkout stand, right? If you're not right at the checkout stand where, you got to pay for something and people are around you waiting, you can't like pause and go, where is it in my body? You know what I mean? But if you get back to your car, you can kind of investigate, or you get back home in a quiet moment. Just, I was aware. Boom, boom, I'm back, right? I'm back. I'm aware. I was aware that that happened. I didn't sleepwalk through that. I was aware, right? And now you can assess, where did I feel that? Was it like my heart racing? And you may or may not be able to sense it afterward. But sometimes thinking about what you're going to do can cause that reaction as well. Like you're about to leave your house and go to the grocery store, and that feeling of I can't spend too much, or I'm about to reduce the amount of money that I have. So all of those things may be happening even before you get to the grocery store. Or you tear open a bill and you look at it and you're like, your mind is instantly going, oh shit, where am I going to get the money to pay this? All of those moments are moments to be aware. Boom, boom, you're back. And as you become aware, it's like, where am I feeling that right now? Is it in my chest? Is my chest tightening? Is my throat? Where am I feeling the dense emotion of fear or doubt or whatever, right? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about we're going to come back to that sort of awareness and where are you feeling it in a second. When I talk about specific pathways out, we're going to use that in a different way. But first I wanted to share I want to offer some general pathways out, because I feel like it's a good backdrop for the specific ways that I'm going to share next. One of the things that shifted for me in terms of quote unquote manifesting things that I'll offer to you here today is the shift was from a desire to manifest a physical experience. Instead of the physical experience being the focus of my desire to manifest, I shifted to, I want to change me. Milo's snoring next to me. I want to change me rather than change my circumstances. I want that to sink in. I want to change me rather than change my circumstances. Because if you change you, the circumstances change just fine. So I have found that when we're focused on changing the circumstance, we're very externally focused, not realizing that if we focus on changing our state of being, if we focus on changing ourselves, the way we move through life on planet Earth, how we experience ourselves in our divine state, if we focus on, you know what? I know I have this circumstance to change. I know there's a money issue going on. I know there's a physical issue going on. I know that there's a family relationship issue going on. But you know what? Those are all external circumstances. What I am going to choose to do, and we're about to end the year and move into a new year. Maybe that can be an intention for the new year. I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions or anything like that. But for the next 12 months, my intention is to change me, how I'm being. And it doesn't mean that we require change. From the perspective of Source, we are perfect as we are. I don't care how screwed up, how messed up, how jacked up, how poor, how sickly. I don't care any of those things. If I look through the lens of Source, all of us are perfect as we are, with all the screw ups, right? All the screw ups, all the mess ups, we are perfect as we are. Yet there's an opportunity to move more into congruence with who we truly are, right? To move more into the awareness that we are one with Source. And if we're able to move more into that awareness, we're able to see more of what is possible, if you know what I mean. So if you're moving through life only focused on how do I change my circumstances? How do I change my circumstances? How do I change my you're not realizing that you change you, and that is how your circumstances change. You become more of who you are, and that is how your circumstances change. The more you become aware that you are one with Source, the more your circumstances change. So instead of what do I do to change the money situation, you go, there's something that there's an opportunity for me to become more of my true self, to stand more sure-footedly in my infinite state of being, to be more identified with my infinite state of being than with my circumstances and my physical state of being. So I want to, if there's any change at all, I want it to happen internally. And I'm less focused on my circumstances because I know if I change, my circumstances change. And we know that we have changed, and this may be a hard one to accept, but it's true. We know that we've experienced a change within when the same situation is playing out and our response to it is different. Let me say that again. We know that we have changed internally when the same situation plays out and our response to it is different. Really take that in, because that's a really good meter to see how much evolution is taking place and expansion is taking place in our physical story. Because at the end of the day, we're all perfectly enlightened and perfectly awakened, just playing the game in the physical earthly realm that we're not, right? But while we're in the game, our response to the same, like it's like last month when that bill was bigger than I thought, I freaked out and I really felt frustrated and I felt all this lack and I felt all this. But this month, something similar happened and I'm like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Your response is different, even though a similar situation has taken place. And that really comes with awareness. It's like the more you become aware and you're focused on, I could be different in this situation, and you begin to explore how you can be different in those situations, and you put that on repeat, then that situation comes up again. You're a different person. So you can't even find your reaction that you used to have, because now you're seeing life through a different lens. And because you're seeing life through a different lens, you're able to respond rather than react. So that's one of the indicators that I'm changing me. I'm expanding. I'm responding so differently than I did in the past. Wow, look, my bank account is back at $50 again, but I'm not worried this time. There's something else that's coming up that feels like confidence, that feels like it's going to be okay. There's something else that's at play. And we're going to talk about how you can sort of move into that too. But I just wanted to share with you that you can sense when you have changed, when the same situation happens and your reaction, you don't even have a reaction, you have a response that comes from a state of peace. I want to say another thing about changing you, not the circumstance. When we have a practice or a process, that was really, really key for me. When we have a practice or a process, whether it be scripting the new story or visualizing or a vision board or affirmations or whatever, we tend to focus in on that in order to change the circumstances. And some of you would be agreeing with that right now. I'm doing this practice on this process regarding the done state or the new story or whatever to change my circumstances. And some of you would be like, well, duh, Allison, why else would I be doing it, right? But if you can shift that and have the goal, if there's any goal at all, right? Have the goal be, I'm going into this process or into this practice or doing these affirmations for one purpose and one intention only. At the end of it, I have elevated my emotions. I have elevated my frequency. Don't think about the circumstance. Every time I do this practice or this process or this meditation or this affirmation or this thing that I say to myself or this deep contemplation or whatever, I'm doing it to alter my frequency. That's it. I'm not focused on the circumstance. I'm doing it to alter my frequency. I have this new story because when I marinate in this new story, whoo, I feel so good. At the end of reciting that back to myself and at the end of scripting that out, I feel so good. I feel so good. And when that's the only intention, mission accomplished. You're not coming out looking, okay, did something change? Did I get more money in my bank account? Did somebody cash app me? Right? You're not looking for circumstantial changes because you know if your frequency changes, all of that out there will change on its own. It happens with relationships. It happens with physical ailments. It happens with money. It happens with anything. You change you and have that be the only intention is my frequency change. And then we're fully accomplished every time. The frequency has changed. My frequency has changed. And because my frequency is changed, things are all right. I'm good. I'm walking in a different frequency at the end of this practice or process. I'm walking in a different frequency. Yes. Boom, boom, I'm back. Right? Boom, boom, I'm back. And that's once you're back, you're in awareness, your frequency is flying, and that's it. You don't have to worry about the nuance, the different bits and pieces of the circumstances at play because your frequency has shifted. And that's what's changing everything. Your frequency is changing everything. So you don't have to worry about the circumstances as much. I also want to talk in terms, so we're still in the general pathways out, and then I'll go to specifics in a moment, but releasing the feeling like we need something to happen, either in a relationship or with money or something in our physical bodies. If we know it's done, as I shared previously, then that sense of neediness starts to dissipate. It's like, well, it's already done. I don't need it because it's done. It feels done to me. So I don't feel that sense of needing something from someone. I talked previously about taking time off the table, and I wanted to say a little bit more about that because in my experience, for most of us, if we are thinking about manifesting something in a specific time frame, as time elapses, we start to get more concerned, less certain, wavering, vacillating. And that's the reason I say take time off the table. But my caveat on that is sometimes for some people, their sense of resolve and confidence is so strong that they can say, I'm going to manifest $10,000 this month. And they are 100% behind that vibrationally. they can get behind that vibrationally. I don't care if it's the 27th of the month and it's not here yet. It's gonna happen by the 31st. And they're so certain sure that it's unwavering for them. For someone who is in that kind of experience, they can work with time. They can put time on the table in an expectation, assumption of what they want to have happen, and it'll work beautifully for them. So the caveat that I wanted to add to me saying it's best to take time off the table is because I see that it's best for most people. But if you feel, I don't care what's going on, I am resolute that this is going to happen in my life and it's going to happen by this particular date, then hey, move with it. I will still say though that anytime we become attached to any specific outcome, I tend to be in terms of manifestation, this or something even better, rather than I have to have this by the end of the month. It's like this or something even better, right? Rather than I have to have it in this particular way. It could come in so many different ways. A quick example I'm going to share with you here. I shop on Amazon probably weekly, more often than I care to admit. And I'm taking a trip to Trinidad next month. And of course, when I go to Trinidad, I have to go bearing gifts. Okay, so I'm shopping with my mom and just shopping on Amazon, and I'm video chatting with her and showing her different things on Amazon to shop for and whatever. And shortly thereafter, Amazon sends me a thing saying you're invited to be a Vine reviewer. I don't review stuff on Amazon a whole lot, but I was like, Vine review? What's a Vine review? And I'm like Googling, what is a Amazon Vine reviewer? Is this like legit? Like, what is this, right? And come to find out, I log into the thing that they are giving me to be a Vine reviewer. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of Amazon things you can just request for absolutely free and just do a quick review on it, and it's yours. Sometimes you don't even have to do a review on it. I guess they said if you review up to 50% of the things that you get for free, you need to do a review on it. But I'm sitting there in front of the screen going, I don't have a need for 350 something thousand items on Amazon that I can get for free. It was very interesting, but I say that to say this or something even better, right? I'm in the middle of taking a trip to Trinidad. I haven't taken a trip in, I think, 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. I can't remember now. But last time I went was when my dad passed. But now I'm preparing for a trip. I'm like, okay, I need a neck pillow for the for the plane. I go on Amazon, I get a neck pillow for free. I want one of those things that shrinks your luggage. There's these little things now that shrinks your luggage, shrinks your items that you could put into your suitcase. Went onto Amazon, got it for free. I literally just search for what I want and I go request and they send it to me for free. And I just do a little review and I get it for free. I share this to say, we say money is what I want, but this or something even better, right? I didn't need money to get the neck pillow. I didn't need money I have the money to get it, but I didn't need the money to get it, right? I was just browsing through seeing what do they have? And I went, oh, I need that. I'll get that. Or the other thing that I got yesterday was a thing that holds your cell phone on your dashboard when you're driving. I've been wanting one of those for so long and I keep forgetting to buy it. And I was just browsing and I saw one and I was like, oh, I'll get that too, right? This or something even better, right? I don't know why Amazon chose me for that. I don't know, but now I get all this stuff for free. But anyway, so that's a good story of this or something even better. I shop on Amazon every week. Now Amazon is sending me stuff for free every week, right? It can happen in multiple different ways. So that's my what I wanted to share on taking time off the table. And lastly, now we're going to go into the specifics, right? I shared this in a video, I think in a YouTube short recently, but honestly, the way we change our circumstances is it's very, very simple, except for one thing, right? The way we change our circumstances is take the thing that's not going well, conjure up in your mind how you want it to go, and put what you've conjured up in your mind on repeat emotionally, right? That's the game. that's how we game the planet Earth, right? Is you put what you want on repeat emotionally. Because typically if something's at play that we don't want, we have worry, which is an emotional response, on repeat regularly. We have concern on repeat regularly. We have doubt on repeat regularly. We have fear on repeat regularly, right? Those are all emotional states that we tend to put on repeat that causes what we do not want to continue because we have that on repeat. Well, the way you win, right, in the game of life is you go, okay, this is what's happening here. Let's write a whole new story that's the opposite of that and get emotionally involved in the new story regularly enough that your circumstances change. The caveat, not the caveat, the sticking point for us as human beings is how do we not allow our current circumstances that's staring us dead in the eye to not undermine the new story that's at play, right? So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So really how you fix these moments of vacillation is when they occur, you put something else on repeat instead of that. But it starts with being aware that it's happening. And then once you're aware, you're back, right? Once you're back, now you can go, I'm aware, I'm back, and can choose something else, right? I can choose a different response now, right? So we'll talk about the specific ones now. So I talked earlier about noticing that the fear is coming up and where is it in your body? The first thing that I will invite you to do is let go of the label fear, worry, shame, doubt, all these different things that comes up in these money moments that causes vacillation. Drop the label and just instead of saying, I felt that fear. You can say that too, that's fine. But the word fear, doubt, worry, shame, all of those things tend to, the minute we hear it, it like comes with a vibration, right? So what I would encourage you to do is instead say, I felt some energy, right? I felt some energy, whether it's dense energy, strong energy, heart racing energy, whatever. I felt some energy moving around this. Ooh, I just felt some energy moving around this. You're back, right? You noticed it. So now you're aware. You're like, oh, I actually was aware of that. I'm back, right? You remove the label. It's just energy. Now that it's energy, there's no judgments needing. It's just energy moving through my body, right? Where is it? I feel tightness in my throat when I think about that bill. I feel tightness in my chest when I think about that bill. Now I feel it in my stomach. I feel this anxiety pang. Whenever I think about that bill, I feel it in my stomach. So wherever it is that you're feeling it, right? And now we're going to use, I love Michael Singer's, and I did a YouTube short. The title of the YouTube short was Use This to Return to Peace. You can always look that up. Use this to return to peace. So it's the same thing, right? And I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. Once you've located where the energy is, right, where the tense, dense energy is, where you're feeling tight, where you're feeling that energy in your body regarding your response to the bill or your response to spending money, whatever it is, right? Wherever you're feeling that, you just breathe through it. Okay? So what I learned from Michael Singer, which works beautifully as a reprogramming your response to anything, is the minute you feel that energy, the tightness, whatever it is, right? We've removed the label. It's no longer fear, worry, shame, doubt. It's not any of those things. It's just energy. And you're feeling it somewhere. Shoulders are tight, chest, neck, whatever. Using Michael Singer's recommendation, which has worked beautifully for me, is you start relaxing every muscle in your body. So you start from your head, and it really only takes 60 seconds. So you start from your head, move to your eyelids, your cheeks, your jaw, your lips, neck, shoulders, and every time you name a body part, you relax. Back, arms, hands, stomach, butt cheeks, thighs, calves, toes. And what happens when you've chosen to relax every single area of your body is that energy that was feeling dense wherever it was is given the opportunity to move through. I talked earlier about these vacillation moments come up and we're so busy, we're like, oh shit, that's how much it costs? All right, fine, I'll pay it, right? It came up, but we never did anything with it. So it never left. It keeps coming back. Now, when you relax your body and allow the energy to move through, it may still come back, but now you know what to do. Let it go through again, and it may come back again, and you let it go through again, and it may come back again, and you let it go through again. But here's what's happening that I noticed that Michael Singer didn't say about this practice is I noticed that I am now reprogramming my mind to behave differently when I feel the worry, the fear, whatever, right? Even though we're removing those labels. When I feel that energy now, I'm training my body to go to peace. I'm training my body to not react because I'm choosing as it comes up to let it through. As it comes up to let it through. As it comes up to let it through. And after a while, it just dissipates on its own. Because I've retrained and rewired my brain that when a bill comes up, I let the energy through and I feel peace instead. And there's this rewiring that happens that says, go to peace now, without you even needing to focus there because you're just relaxing every area of your body. If you relax every area of your body, peace naturally comes up. There's this stillness that envelops you because you've focused this relaxation through your entire body. And that energy that was tight moves through. And some of you may say, well, Allison, I did it and it was right back there. The fear was right back, right? It's okay. Let it through again. How long do I have to do this? Michael Singer's answer, for as long as it takes, right? Time is irrelevant. You just do it for as long as you do it. And from me noticing that it was really rewiring my brain really helped me to let go of the time in all of this. Even if that fear keeps coming up for a whole month, during that month, every time I relax every area of my body and let that fear move through, like let it move through, I am rewiring my brain to go to relaxation when this comes up. Relaxation, it goes to relaxation. So that's one specific thing. And then the second part of this, in terms of specificity, is choosing a different response. And the response that you can choose also rewires the brain if you become emotionally involved in it. See, when you relax every area of your body, you almost cannot help but become emotionally involved because you're relaxing everything. Your focus has shifted to body relaxation. And if your focus has shifted to body relaxation, you naturally start to sense peace and presence, right? It naturally happens as a result of relaxing every area of your body. Now you're clear, right? Now you're clear, and you may have to repeat it if you're one of the people who like, well, I just did it and now the fear's back again. Just keep relaxing as much as you can. I don't know where you are when this is coming up or whatever, but it's going to give you plenty of opportunity. If it's something you've practiced for years, it's going to give you plenty of opportunity to come back to it and come back to it and come back to it, to let it through. Just remind yourself, I'm aware, but I'm back, and now I'm going to let it through. I'm just going to let it through. I'm going to relax everything and let it through. I'm not going to label it. I'm going to release the labels, and I'm just going to let it through. And I'm going to let it through for as many times as I need to let it through. Now, once that feeling of presence and stillness that you're in when you're letting it through happens, now you can apply a different response. So here are some responses that work well for me if I get emotionally involved in it, right? So you can say these things to yourself and it has no meaning. But if you truly get emotionally involved in it, it starts to change your brain and change your behavior and the way that you respond. So one of the things that I would say to myself is, like, it comes up, right? And I'm moving through and I'm thinking about spending this money, and I'm realizing I'm choosing to believe that this is going to come back to me 1,000-fold. So I say to myself, this is coming back to me 1,000-fold. So some of you, that'd be like too much. It's like, I don't believe it's coming back to me 1,000-fold. That's fine. Just say it's coming back to me 10-fold. Or it's coming back to me double. And how you get emotionally involved is you do the math, right? So the bill is $300, right? It's going to come back to me double. So $600, it's on its way back to me right now. I don't know where, I don't know how, but $600 is on its way back to me because it always comes back to me double. Whatever number works for you, double, 10 times, 1,000 times, whatever is easiest for you to emotionally get behind. Spending 360, 720 is coming back. It's coming back to me double. It always comes back to me double. Always comes back to me double. What happens when you continuously say this to yourself, and this is why affirmations are powerful for some people, because some people can say affirmations, but they're not really feeling it. They're just saying it over and over and over. When you're feeling your affirmation, it's different. It's actually creating a state change within you, a vibrational shift within you. So when you think it's coming back to me double, whenever I spend money, it always comes back to me double. Whenever I spend money, it always comes back to me double, or 10 times or 1,000 times, whatever works for you to emotionally get behind it. Because if you cannot emotionally get behind it, it's just something you're saying in thin air. It's not really doing anything until you feel what it's doing, until you feel that truth. Until you feel that truth, it's not really changing anything. But the more you feel it and you put that on repeat every single time, now your brain is expecting, now your brain is assuming double every time you spend money. Your brain is just assuming double. It's like you're retraining your brain to assume double every time, right? In that little moment. I don't care if you're spending $5, $10, whatever it is that you're spending, and you feel that thing come up, you relax, you let the energy move through, and then you go, it's all right, because it's coming back to me double. It's coming back to me 10 times. It's coming back to me 1,000-fold. Again, whatever feels most vibrationally resonant for you. Now, I'll share with you what happens within me when I say this, because you've already heard me say a million times, it's already done, it's already here, it's already done, it's already here, right? But for some of you, you don't really believe that, because if you really believed it, you wouldn't be worried, right? Whenever we really believe it's here, what we feel is gratitude. What we feel is celebration. What we feel is, I'm so glad I woke the fuck up and realized that everything's already here and everything's already done. I'm so grateful that that's how I'm living my life now, right? But when I say it's already here and it's already done, there's this vision that comes in my head of me sitting in the middle of a buffet of realities, and I can just reach over and grab that reality. I can reach over and grab that reality. I can reach over and grab that reality. I'll give you a very recent example. Because I'm going to Trinidad, this is my first trip where one of my sons wasn't here with Milo, right? I'm an empty nester now with Milo as my sidekick. So now I'm looking for someone to come stay with him for my trip. So I go to rover.com, created a profile, and looking for a house sitter that pet sits. And Milo, it cannot be a man because Milo doesn't do well with strange men. It has to be a woman, so I'm looking for all the specifics, right? And then you have to like read through all of the profiles on Rover to make sure this person's available for the times that Milo needs to eat and be walked and, you know, all these different things, right? And I'm saying to myself after a while, after a day of doing this is a pain in the ass. Now, what did I just label it? A pain in the ass. So it can't be anything but a pain in the ass, right? So, and I even texted my sister. I was like, this is such a pain. I'm never traveling again. This is such a pain in the ass to find somebody, right? I'm texting this. I know better. But I fall off the wagon too, y'all. I fall off the wagon too. So I go to bed that night after deciding it was a pain in the ass, right? And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, Allison, it's done and it's already here. And when I said that to myself, I feel like a woman appeared on the buffet. This is how it comes to me, y'all, because I feel like I'm just surrounded by this buffet of realities that I can pick from. So I'm laying in bed and suddenly the thought comes to me, Allison, you just labeled it a pain in the ass. Label it done. Label it done. Your work is to experience it as done. And the minute I said that, it's already here and it's already done. It's like this woman appeared on the buffet, and what I felt from her was this vibrational resonance. I felt like we connected, like something clicked between us. I don't know who it is, right? I felt like something clicked between us, and she's the perfect fit for staying at my house with Milo. She's just the perfect fit. I don't know who she is, but she's already here. I know what it feels like. She feels resonant to me. She's like we're vibing. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're vibing. And because she and I are vibing, I feel so comfortable with her being here and with being with Milo, right? That appeared on the buffet and I felt it. I saw her on the buffet. I saw that reality right there. It's like a little circular reality. That's how it appears to me in my vision. It's like all these little circular realities that has stuff in it on the buffet. And when I connect to it emotionally and vibrationally, I feel something. And when I feel that something, it manifests, it must become materialized in my reality. That's what I sense, feel, and the vision that I get when I say it's already done. It's not a concept. It's a very strong visceral awareness that something else just appeared on the buffet, and what I am doing right now is just resonating with it. I'm feeling what it feels, what the doneness feels like. I feel what she felt like. I felt her smile. I felt her connection, right? And all of that happened literally 1 hour after I did that. Now here I was connecting with all these people. I don't know if this one's a fit. I guess I'll interview her. I don't know if this one's a fit. I'll interview her. Right. And literally an hour after that, one of them responded to me, and the same sense I got when I saw this unknown woman on the buffet was what I sensed in what she texted me. And I felt like she was the one. I had all these other people that I was but I felt like she was the one. I just felt it. And we often do all this work. I'm doing all this work, y'all. I'm like, okay, I got to go to rover.com. I got to put up my profile. I got to interview all these people. I got to go through all these, profiles to see which one. I'm doing all this work, right? When I could do the vibrational work, which is, okay, she's on the buffet. I know what she feels like. I don't know what she looks like, but I know what she feels like. And once I brought that feeling state in, an hour later, she appears. And by the words she chose to connect with me, I knew I feel something there. I feel something there. And so that's a really great example of it's already done. And what I feel like when I say it's already done and it's already here. Okay. So some more on choosing a different perspective in that moment when you realize and you're you're back because you've realized it. Now all of you are going to be doing this. I've said that so many times, like I'm back because I'm aware. And once I'm aware, I don't have to care. I'm aware now. I can do something with my awareness, right? Okay, so it's already done is another thing that you can bring up, just like I did, when you're choosing a different perspective. So I went from it's a pain in the ass, it's a worry, it's so much work, to, oh, wait, my work is to just love this woman and to vibe with this woman. That's my work. My work is to see her, vibe with her, and then she'll appear, she'll materialize, right, in my reality. Another thing that I want to talk about with regard to money, which I've shared before, but it's abundance comes through physical sources, but the actual source is your vibration. So let's not forget that. It can come through a job, through a client, through all of that, but recognizing again that you make the change within you is what's causing it to appear. So in those moments, you can bring that back to recollection. Oh, wait, all I do is change me. Like the bill comes, fear arises. Wait, let the fear through. All right, I just changed me and the bill gets paid. That's what happens. I change me in this reality, in this little simulation. I change me and the bill gets paid. I change me and the pet sitter arrives. I change me and my body changes, right? I change me. So you can say that in those moments. Again, whatever you choose to repeat to yourself in those moments, that's what is going to happen, right? You put it on repeat and it's going to happen. It changes your state, changes your mind, it changes your connection, right? The brain connections begin to change and become program a different response within you, whatever you put on repeat. The other thing that works really well for me in momentary vacillation is asking myself, where's this thought coming from? Is it coming from the mind or is it coming from the source that I am? Is it coming from my mind or is it coming from the source that I am? Because the source that I am is not worried about this situation, right? And that kind of snaps me back into, Allison, you're identifying with your thoughts, which are just the bubble machine, choosing whatever. Now you're identified with source. Now that I'm identified with source, now that I am one with source, I've always been, but now I am aware, I'm back to the awareness that I am one with source. And as a being that is one with source, here's what I see. Here's what I see. I see limitlessness. That's what I see. And so when you ask yourself that question, where is that thought coming from? The thought that brought up the fear or the doubt or whatever, right? That you're allowing to move through, where did that thought come from? They come from my head, or they come from the source, the infinite being, the greater intelligence that I am. And that can shift you as well. And similar to that, what is the perspective of my higher self on this subject? What is the perspective of my higher self? So again, you're in this situation, you become aware, but I'm back. So now that you're aware, you're like, okay, I see what's happening within me now. And then you can choose any one of these responses. It's okay, it's coming back double. Where's that thought coming from my mind or from source? What is the perspective of my higher self on this? Abundance is here now. It's done. It's on the buffet. I've already picked it. It's good. We're good. We're good. I've already picked it. So that's what I wanted to offer you in terms of different things. Let me see if I had any more notes here. I will always end here because practices and processes are awesome. I go there when they call me, which is totally fine. Yet, at the end of the day, all of those practices and processes are merely bridges that bring us back to the truth of who we are. It brings us back to the truth of who we are. And the only challenge we have in life, really, the only challenge that we have is we believe that we're separate from Source. Oh no, Allison, I have stuff going on in my body. Wouldn't be worried about that if I knew that I am not separate from Source. No, I'm got all kinds of financial issues going on. Wouldn't be worried about that if I knew that I am not separate from Source. So again, it goes back to that video I did on doubt the problem. What's the real problem? I believe that I'm separate from Source. Once you shift that belief inside, then all of these things happening outside start to feel like child's play. It's like, I got this. I am one with Source. I got this. I got this. We got this. And we certainly do all. We got this. But you're back. All right. I am complete. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us for another free live event. On your screen is a summary of what we explored in our time together. I thought that may be helpful to you. The 3 opening topics we explored, the 5 general paths out of vacillation experiences, and 4 specific paths out of vacillation experiences. There are a whole bunch of timestamps in the description box as well. Feel free to navigate to whatever is of interest to you. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, AllisonPhillips.tv/ask. I'm happy to interact with you there. Above all else, take what resonates, discard what does not. Listen to your own inner guidance. And I'll see you in whatever I do next. Bye.